state of Lebanon, as far as the state police goes, the wonderful news is that the state of Lebanon doesn't really have any issues. When I go to the township meetings and the supervisors of municipalities and discuss the crime trends and anything else that's going on in their area, it's not as though it was ever necessarily a bad thing in Lebanon County, but we had a few topics, we had a few trends that were coming up. Perhaps it would be burglaries of residences or storage sheds. Maybe it was people breaking into vehicles and stealing things. There was cars that were being stolen, specific types of cars in certain areas. And I'm very pleased to say that here in Lebanon County, we're not experiencing any trends, so to speak. There's no groups or anything that we're tracking. There's no major crimes that are we're following the same group of people for anything. There isn't a trend or anything that we're necessarily following. Of course, you can't call drugs a trend anymore. Drugs are being deemed as an epidemic. It's so vast, it's so wide, it's so much in the everywhere category. It's not in your rural areas, it's not in your urban areas. You can't focus on a city, you can't focus on a specific town or anything. Unfortunately, drugs are everywhere. Everybody's taken notice to that, everybody's putting a focus on that, and we're doing everything that we can, including trying to increase and divert and reallocate resources to focus more on this type of an epidemic, but it's unfortunately something that everybody is facing right now. A lot of grassroots type of community events are occurring to try and curb it. There's a lot of work going through the schools with trying to stop it early before it becomes something. But the bad thing is that it's through the society, through the economy, through, I guess, right back to society, just what people are looking for and where they're going in their own lives is why I think that we have such a bad drug problem. But there's nowhere here in Lebanon County is anywhere, and nobody's experiencing anything more than anyone else is. It's not like it's Lebanon County's bad. It's not like Lebanon County's good. It's better than some areas, but it's nobody here is absent from it, pretty much, so to speak. With the recent crash that we had out here on Interstate 78, the state police because I'm here, the state police took a lot of the credit for what had taken place out there. And I am the first one to say that the state police only had a small role in that event. So your local firefighters, your local volunteers, big word, volunteers, who came out to help out with that crash and to do their job were absolutely fantastic. Volunteers in that type of a circumstance, in that cold, in that climate, and those conditions, staying out there the entire time, the volunteers around here deserve, we're the state police, we were getting paid to be there. Those volunteers, the vast majority, 99% of them were volunteers and did not have to be there. They did a fantastic job. So the volunteers, I think, in my eyes, deserve by far more credit than anyone else for what they did out there at that event. You know, in every big event, especially since that was on record as either the top 3 or the top crash in the state, as far as I went with the number of vehicles, the fatalities, everything else. That said there were probably lessons learned out of that. Actually, there weren't. And not to pat anyone on the back or to give anyone else any special credit that they wouldn't necessarily deserve, but that worked flawlessly. The amount of training that your local first responders have attended in the past, and that would be everything from your firefighting crews, your rescue crews, your fire companies, your EMA, county EMA. We all go through, it's been sort of forced upon everyone else, and it was, you know, we're all Dutchies, nobody likes change. So when everyone had to start to go to these, what they call ICS courses, which is Incident Command Structure courses, these were derived out of pretty much the big fires that they have out in Colorado and California. They were losing so many firefighters, and they weren't able to keep track of where the firefighters were at, so they put together a structured command system to pretty much keep track so that there was a good unified command. And once they saw that, the feds grabbed a hold of it and they pushed it out to everyone else. Everyone, including here in Lebanon County, has had this type of incident command structure, and it worked perfect for this incident. So if there's any tax dollars or anything that you're putting forth to your local volunteers, it is being put to good use, because that event out there, we're going through all the after action meetings now. I'm taking part in the county level, I'm taking part in the state level. You know, we're taking part in a whole lot of different after action, and really nobody's coming up with anything, any major flaws of what happened. Of course, the crash itself is something that we wish we could take, had a little bit better hand in, but the after action of how everyone handled the crash afterwards worked flawless. So you can all take pride in your local volunteers, and including the county EMA folks who were out there. A lot of them volunteered their time to come in because they knew how big of an event it was. Everyone can take pride in your county officials that it really worked perfectly out there. There was nothing that we could think of that I could think of right now offhand. I'm going to more meetings, and there's more Monday morning quarterbacking that's going to occur. I'm sure I'll probably hear something along the way. From being out there at a standpoint, it worked fantastic. The ups and downs, or hearing anything about with the state police, I'd love to give the blanket speech. Well, I'm not allowed to discuss anything that's going on internally. There, of course, is bad news, or bad press going on with our department right now in our agency. I'm actually, except for the one with the turnpike yesterday, that hopefully everyone does understand and look at it as though there's bad apples in every bunch. I'm very glad that one thing coupling or parlaying into the cheating scandal issue is that I'm glad that our department is being forthcoming with it. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing that they're trying to keep quiet or that keep away from the public or anybody else. These are taxpayers' dollars. These are people that you all trust to come to your house and help you out in a circumstance. I'm very glad that they're being open and forthright with everything that's going on. It's a black eye. It's going to continue to be a black eye, and rather than try and put it down in the shadows or in the closet for a while and have everyone wondering, I'm glad that they're being very forthcoming. So it's going to happen, I guess, with every agency. Everyone takes their turn with their highs, with their lows. Right now, as far as I'm concerned, this is a low, but I'm very glad that in keeping with the tradition of the state police and the honor and the service and integrity that we have and we've maintained for 115 years, I'm very glad that they're putting it all outright right now. There's some things that all of us can't do. You can't be there to monitor. I don't know if everyone is a parent, but it's the same as parenting. You can't be there at all times to make sure that somebody's going to walk the straight and narrow path. You do the best with what happens afterwards, and I'm glad to say that our department right now is doing the best, I think, with what the hand that they were done.
Well, I'm curious about funding because with the budget, of course, in Harrisburg, and then I had heard about the police department might have to discontinue their services to municipalities. Is anything rolling in that direction, or is that just some press guy making it up?
That's troubling for me to hear that. I don't think that's some press guy making that up. I mean, unless somebody's surmising what might happen and guessing, but his assessment, I haven't heard that, but I'm fearful of the same thing. Anytime that there's budget crunches, budget woes, we are fed. We're an agency that's fed by the state government, and if they're talking about increasing in budget, then yes, I am concerned about that. We're at a good point now. I have the highest number of troopers than I did when I started 3.5 years ago. I'm not exactly at my full complement, but I'm very close, which makes me extremely happy. It makes me have extra zone coverage. It makes me focus on certain times. There's a lot of money that's going on. We have, of course, the computer systems that we have. We have mapping systems, what we call a prophecy map. The prophecy maps show us the time of day when certain crimes are occurring, the time of day when accidents and crashes and the most serious crashes are happening. So I like to use those maps and focus on where I'm putting my manpower and allocating my guys for what times and where they should be. I now have the people to be able to do that instead of having to prioritize or, well, they got attention last week, now we have to put attention. I now have the manpower that I can actually put out there for that. So right now, for me, things are very good. Very good for me, I should say, in the county. Those are numbers that we're not allowed to discuss as far as full complement.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's not something that we put out to the public.
Okay.
But I'm at almost near full complement, is what I can say. I have my crime room is full with all the members. I only have a handful of patrol members that are out, and right now I'm looking at a few retirements for a few specialized positions. but there's already things in the works for getting them filled back in again.
And how far do you actually go? I know that you have some of the municipalities like East Hanover and Union and Swatara and Jonestown and Bethel, but what do you do out of the county as well?
Out of the county, we don't, well, specialized positions do some things out of the county. We have what's called a CARS, which is a Crash Accident Reconstructions. He covers all of Troop, what we call Troop L, which is my troop, which covers Lebanon County, Berks County, and Schuylkill County. So if there's a fatal crash or a major accident or anything, he has specialized tools to be able to go out and perform that and make sure that all the evidence gets brought forward to the prosecuting attorney's office. He covers, so he'll cover Berks, Schuylkill, and Lebanon County. At my office, as far as crime goes, from my criminal investigators, only cover Lebanon County.
Okay.
We don't go out unless there's a major incident, if there's such as a homicide or anything else. They'll again go within our troop if they're requested to go to Berks or Schuylkill County. But our patrol section covers Lebanon County again and Schuylkill County on the interstate. We cover up to mile marker 107, which is the Tremont exit on the interstate. So we also cover what they're referring to in the media as the beast from the east, which is the construction zone, which is kicking back up again. If anyone hasn't made your way back up the interstate, it's starting back up again. And right here after Easter, it'll be the same thing, diverting over to one lane, and cars passing each other in the cattle chutes while they work on the other side of the road.
But then Dauphin County is another barracks.
Correct, yes ma'am. That's an entire different troop and a different barracks. Now, we all pretty much have our own operations, our own funding within the funding of the department, but such as an incident like the crash, we used people, members had to come from Harrisburg, Newport, up in Perry County. I believe we even had somebody from Carlisle that came over to help us with the crash. Anybody who was extra that they could staff, they sent people over for something major. Again, we all wear the same patch and we're all gray, so it doesn't matter where you came from.
Since you're here, the other question that I have in the back of my mind is, I know that we have State Game Wardens and we have Director of State Parks, you know, our manager and everything, and they all have police powers. But do you also have police powers on the state game lands and state parks, and do you all work together, or is there some rivalry that goes on?
Not necessarily rivalry. We do have the same arrest powers, however we don't focus on that. The only thing that we don't deal with are the DEP folks, anything that's environmental, because a lot of that becomes a civil instead of a criminal type of nature. State police only cover criminal and traffic, the Pennsylvania Crimes Code and Vehicle Code for the most part that we do any arresting. The parks folks, the game wardens, the Fish Commission, we have the same arrest powers as they do, however we don't specialize in that. So you won't see a state trooper issuing a citation for that. We'll bring someone else in for their specialty, such as a game commission. If you have an issue with somebody poaching or doing anything, we can make the arrest, but we pretty much give it to them. Same as with us. We work and we assist with the game wardens and the Fish Commission constantly if they come across say drugs. Again, that's not necessarily their specialty.
So they call you.
So they would call us, and we would go to if we're requested for assistance, we would go to their type of bailiwick, their venue, and take the arrest for them. So it's not necessarily that we're on the same fight. They don't have the manpower, we don't have the manpower, they're stretched thin, so everybody sort of gets it. And to get the job done, everybody works well together.
On behalf of the Northern Lebanon Rotary Club, here's a little memento. It is a flash drive so you can keep all your important information backed up. And we want to say thank you and hope that you'll remember us and come back and join us anytime.
Thank you very much.